As I said, there were over 100 shtetl synagogues in Philadelphia. My grandfather went to one literally around the corner from the 1930s until he ended up in nursing care in the 1990s. Its congregation, Shivtei Yesharon Ezras Israel. And I don't know what that means, but I think it means something like the wild and crazy men of South Philadelphia, or the alternative might be the righteous worshipers who love Israel. You can take your choice of it. He went to that synagogue, and that's all discussed in the book, The Little Synagogues of South Philadelphia. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. The synagogue became the place where, of course, you worshiped, but that's where you met your landsmen, men who came from the same land as you did. It became a beneficial association. It gave you loans, maybe to get a mortgage, or you needed a new boiler. It provided cemetery plots for you in the few Jewish cemeteries that were on the outskirts of Philadelphia. Very important. So take you back to the 1950s. So my father joined the little shul, but he worked day and night. He would sometimes be able to go on Shabbat, Shabbos. He'd always, of course, go on the high holidays. My grandfather went as often as he could, and this became his social place. As I already mentioned, the Canadian Club, and the men would sit and drink there and do whatever they did for socializing. The shul, I remember my grandfather taking me to, and I remember two special occasions. The first would be, and I had to think about this for a while, had to be Yom Kippur Day, because I remember the shul in a blaze of light. The only time you'd have a blaze of light is Yisker, when all the memorial plaques are lit up in the shul, and it's wondrous to a little kid, a blaze of light. There's the rabbi on the bima, and above the rabbi there is a hole in the ceiling. There are several holes in the ceiling. This is an Orthodox shul. The men are separated from the women, and the women are on the second floor looking through the hole it was constructed. There could not be balconies, so the women are on the second floor of the place looking down directly into the bima, into the congregation. I always found that weird, never understood, because there's my mother, my grandmother, my aunts looking down into the congregation. The place is lit up. The old men, I'm standing with my grandfather, I'm probably with my brother, my father's probably on the other side. And I will tell you that these old men, I don't remember young men. My father was middle-aged at this point. The old men took their suits out of mothballs once a year. And, you know, as a kid, you're almost fainting from the odor. The old men eating, you know, filling themselves up for fasting on Yom Kippur, probably on liverwurst and onions. I don't think that they had discovered dental floss or toothbrushes by this point. And you could get overwhelmed by these old men, especially when they would talk to you. And it was like flamethrowers coming at you. As a kid, this is a very egocentric view. You know, it's my view as a kid. The rabbi on the bima, he wore a tallis that looked like a Batman cape to a kid, and his yarmulke, we don't call it kippah where I come from. His yarmulke looked like it stretched up to the ceiling where the women were looking. He had a beard that was you'd be proud to have a beard like this. He spoke only Yiddish. At least I'll tell you the one time I heard something else. And they did the prayers. Every time I would go, the one time at the end of the day, he would do a homily of sorts. He would talk about, as Yom Kippur, he would talk about Jonah and the whale, and the story of Jonah, the whale, and redemption. He would mention it in English, and then he actually opened it up to discussion, but of course it was all Yiddish at that point. So as a kid, I learned about Jonah and the whale. It's probably the first story I know about. And I'll tell you, when I say this in an egocentric view of it, I'm saying, oh, Jonah swallowed by the whale. Oh, isn't that the story of Pinocchio? And of course, the story of Pinocchio being swallowed by the whale and then having to do a good deed comes from the Old Testament Jonah and the whale, and he gets out by only redeeming himself in forgiveness. I was Bar Mitzvahed in the synagogue, and so was my brother, my uncle. I believe that my parents must have been married and my grandparents married in this synagogue.